How many backup quarterbacks have taken their team to the Super Bowl? How about 7?
STAUBACH drops back to pass, sets up, pass to the end zone, touchdown!
Roger Staubach was not the starter heading into the season. It was Craig Morton. Tom Landry had Staubach and Morton alternate plays there for a few weeks, but after Dallas got off to a 4-3 start, no bueno, said Tom Landry, and Roger Staubach went the rest of the way.
The longest pass play of the year for Roger Staubach, 51 yards.
He ended up posting over 100 passer rating, which was a huge number in 1971. The Cowboys won Super Bowl VI in a blowout. And oh, by the way, Staubach went 10-0 as a starter that year. Oh, my goodness.
Bradshaw's back. The rush is on. He has to unload it. He does to Blyer. Blyer going in for the touchdown.
All right, let's go 3 years later. Terry Bradshaw had actually lost his job to Joe Gilliam. But after replacing Gilliam in Week 7, he went 5-2, had decent numbers, but really where he made his hay was not making mistakes and being your quintessential game manager in Super Bowl IX.
Here is Bradshaw rolling right. Bradshaw gets a big block and fires into the end zone, complete for the touchdown. Hitting Larry Brown in the end zone.
He was 9-14 for 96 yards and a touchdown, just made plays when they needed it, and they went on to win their first Super Bowl.
Plunkett on a straight drop back. Here comes the rush. Steps up. Can't find anybody yet. Takes off running to the left. Rolls on the move. And it's caught by King at the 40. King takes over the 50. He'll go all the way. Touchdown Raiders.
All right, let's go 6 years later. Jim Plunkett, 1980. The Raiders had acquired Dan Pastorini for Ken Stabler in a trade that offseason. However, Dan Pastorini got hurt, so in Week 6, Jim Plunkett had to make the start. All Plunkett did was go 9-2 as a starter, threw 18 touchdowns, and led the Raiders to Super Bowl 15, where they would win 27-10. He ended up winning 2 Super Bowls.
Back is Williams, looking right, fires it into the end zone, touchdown, Washington Redskins.
1987, Doug Williams. He replaced Jay Schrader as a starter in Week 2 after coming on in relief in Week 1. And Doug Williams, obviously known for being the first African-American quarterback to win the Super Bowl. But this is a guy who had been a starter for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and taken them to the playoffs 3 times. Went to the USFL. Joe Gibbs gave him a chance in Washington. He barely played at all. And then all of a sudden in 1987, he was thrust into the spotlight.
Faked out everybody. He's got Sanders in the clear at the 10. Touchdown, Washington Redskins. We are seeing a virtuoso performance.
And he won Super Bowl MVP, going 18 of 29 for 340 yards and 4 touchdowns. That's 127.9 passer rating. Good grief.
Runs to the 10. He might score. Touchdown.
Okay, 3 years later, same division, Jeff Hostetler for the New York Giants. He replaced Phil Simms in Week 16. The Giants were already having a great season, but when Simms went down, people panicked. Jeff Hostetler had been a utility player early in his career, finally made it as a backup quarterback, but he did his job. He went 2-0 as a starter in the regular season. Then he won in the playoffs, including a huge upset of the 49ers in the NFC Championship game. In Super Bowl 25, he went 20 of 32 for 222 yards and a touchdown.
They are in field goal position. Shouldn't take too much of a chance. Throws end zone. Touchdown, Baker!
And of course, Jeff Hostetler will have that Super Bowl ring for the rest of his life.
Back to throw, Trent Dilfer. Throwing deep down the middle for Stokely. He's got it. 10-5. Touchdown. Brandon Stokely for the score.
Trent Dilfer also will have a Super Bowl ring for the rest of his life because of his relief work. In the year 2000, he replaced Tony Banks. Dilfer went 7-1.
Dilfer, short drop, pump fake. Now throwing deep in the end zone for Ismael. He makes the catch. Touchdown.
And although he only threw 12 touchdowns, he had 11 interceptions. He made plays on third down when they need him. He threw a perfect ball to Brandon Stokely in Super Bowl 35. In that game, he was 12 of 25 for 153 yards and a touchdown. Not inspiring numbers, but that's all that team needed. Remember the Baltimore Ravens of 2000, maybe the greatest single season defense has ever turned in. Dilfer drove the bus and drove it home all the way to a Super Bowl title.
Tom Brady's first NFL touchdown pass.
Let's take you to the next season, where Drew Bledsoe was supposed to be Bill Belichick's starter for the 2001 Patriots. Unfortunately, Bledsoe got hurt on this hit.
The run at the 20, 25, 30. Oh, he got whacked.
leading to Tom Brady starting in Week 3, and Brady would ultimately end up in the national spotlight. Not all pro numbers, mind you, but pretty good for a former 6th-round pick who was not even supposed to play. In Super Bowl 36, Brady not only started, but led the Patriots on a game-winning drive at the end of regulation to set up this game winner from Adam Vinatieri.
It's good! It's good! And the Patriots are Super Bowl champions! The Patriots are Super Bowl champions!